everybody, and welcome back to another Hub 101. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Imani Moore, and I'm the engagement coordinator for the Austin Community Hub.
Hi, I'm Synovia, and I'm the Community Resource Coordinator for the Austin Community Hub.
Yes, and I want to go ahead and start by introducing a little bit about who we are and what we do. The Austin Community Hub was designed to be a dedicated space where we can engage with the members of our community. So we're here to serve as a connection between Austin residents and all the services that are offered by ACT's network of partner organizations such as childcare, job training, youth programs, legal assistance, and much more.
Each one of our Hub 101s gives you all the opportunity to get to know our different partners and get live answers to your questions. Hub 101s take place twice a month on Zoom and Facebook Live.
Thank you. And today we are joined by Emily Peters, our good friend from JARC, Jane Addams Resource Corporation. And they're here to talk to us about the programming that they'll be offering at the Aspire Center. So, see the shirt I'm repping. We'll end with the Q&A session after the presentation. So feel free to drop any questions you have in the live chat, and we'll be happy to answer those for you after Emily is done presenting. Without further ado, Emily, the floor is yours.
Well, I'm gonna start by sharing my presentation with you. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so thanks again for that introduction. So I am Emily Peters. I'm the Director of Training Services with the Jane Addams Resource Corporation. So I'm gonna go through a little bit about JARC and our programs and services that we offer, how to sign up for programming, and then also some of the specifics that we are going to be offering very soon at the Aspire Center. Okay. So our mission is that we really want to help low-income workers, job seekers, and community residents attain financial self-sufficiency through manufacturing skills training and wraparound supportive services. So I'll kind of explain a little bit more about what each of those pieces mean. But essentially that kind of means that we want to help you get the hands-on technical skills, but then also have the soft skills or the essential skills to then like get a job and keep a job as well. So a little bit of background about manufacturing specifically in the Chicago region. We know that it's a very in-demand industry that's hiring. A recent study said that there's probably about 600,000 unfilled manufacturing jobs in the US across the whole country, but really about 30,000 of those are in the Chicago region, and they, likely might go unfilled. And a lot of that is due to, current workers are getting older, they're retiring, and there isn't as many new younger individuals coming in taking those jobs. So there's what we call the skills gap that we're trying to help address through our training programs. So as you can I went too far. So as you can kind of see here, this is sort of a breakdown specifically in the Chicago region of the types of manufacturing that we typically see. So our programs are more focused on the metalworking industry, so specifically welding, and then computer numerical control machining. So I'll talk a little bit more about those. But those would definitely fall into somewhat of the fabricated metals, machinery kind of section, which you can see is not quite half, probably maybe like a third of that circle of manufacturing. So there's definitely a high demand and a high need to fill those positions specifically in the Chicago region. So it could be anything from like transportation, industrial machinery, cutting, bending, assembly of metals. And then there is a pretty large food and beverage manufacturing sector as well, although our programs aren't specific to that. There's definitely like transferable skills that could still allow someone to work in that field. So specifically in Chicago, we do specialize quite a bit in very specific sectors. So that would be the health sciences, doing a lot of machining or fabrication for like health grade, materials that you would see in a hospital or in a doctor's office, something like that. Fabricated metals, so that could be like very custom manufacturing. We've seen people do like very detailed welding for like fences, customized things like that. And then also like chemicals and plastics. But this is really just to give you an idea that, there is a lot of manufacturing in the Chicago region, and a good majority of it is the skills that we are, helping train people for. So some of the skills that are going to be really important to work in manufacturing would be having math skills. So like knowing or getting trained up again on your like fractions, decimals, precision measurement, things like that. Being able to adapt to different environments, having a physical ability. So being able to, possibly lift different weights or perform repeated movements. Being able to work as a team is very important. Attention to details, having some mechanical aptitude is helpful. And then critical thinking skills as well. In addition to, if somebody speaks multiple languages, that's always going to be a huge plus. So some of the specific programs and services that JARC as a whole offers, which I'll explain a little more in the coming slides, but we do have a welding program. And then we also have a CNC, which stands for Computer Numerical Control. That CNC program is going to be one of them that we offer at the Aspire Center. So I'll explain that a little bit further. But then we also have a bridge program that will also be at Aspire. So all of our training programs have pretty small class sizes. Usually we have a cap, so we would probably cap it around maybe 12 individuals in class at one time. And we think that's really important just to make sure you get, enough like student to teacher attention and things like that. We also offer employment coaching that I'll explain a little bit more about, but we want you to, have a resume ready to go, practice your interviewing skills, things like that. We also do financial coaching with everyone, so that really can kind of be up to the individual and what their financial goals are. But it can be anything from, looking at a credit report, making a budget, whatever those needs are. We also offer transportation assistance. So while someone is in our program, we give out transportation every week. So whether that's a Venture card or gas cards, just because we want you to be able to get to class every day while you're in the program. We also offer job placement assistance. So once everyone goes through our programs and gets the training, we also have a team of people who will help place you in a job and kind of work with you to find out what are your career goals and your interests, and kind of help match with employers that we work with. And then all of our training programs and services are free to anyone who wants to participate. So I'll start by talking a little bit about our bridge program. So again, this is going to be one of the programs that will be at the Aspire Center. So all of our programs that our training programs are open enrollment. So we don't have set cohorts or semesters, anything like that. So we say on average, this program, it's about 12 weeks. So when someone comes into the program and they are doing a reading and math assessment, if someone scores between a 5th to an 8th grade level on that reading or math assessment, we would have them start in this program. to work on their reading and math skills, and then be able to move into either like the welding program or the CNC program. So not everyone has to take this program. It just kind of depends, on each person and what their needs might be. It is pretty self-paced. There's certain checkpoints for quizzes and things like that, so you can kind of sort of move at your own pace, which is nice. And then some of the things that you learn in the program are going to be like math that's specific to manufacturing. So again, it'll be converting like fractions to decimals. There's some algebra, some geometry that would be covered, but again, it's going to be like specific to manufacturing. We also practice blueprint reading, that precision measurement, precision metrology, and then any of the reading is going to be like specific reading topics related to manufacturing as well. So we do have another program that is our CNC, Computer Numerical Control. So this program will also be at the Aspire Center. So again, it's open enrollment, but on average, we say this one is about 20 weeks, but it kind of just depends on the person because the curriculum is very project-based. People move through it at different paces. So you do need a 9th grade reading and math level to start in this program. If someone didn't have that, then they would start in that bridge program. Everyone who goes through the program receives their OSHA 10 certification. In addition to the CNC program offers the National Institute of Metalworking Skills certifications. So that's going to be for 2 different types of machines. So you get one for a mill machine and then also one for a turning machine, which basically just makes different shaped objects. But you would learn to program, set up, and operate those machines. The average as of last year wage for people coming out of this program was about 21, 28 an hour. But I always, kind of tell people like that's just the starting wage. Usually after you clear, a 90-day probationary period, there could be a raise. If you get overtime, there obviously is more opportunities to earn higher wages. So you can kind of see here, we have our Cartesian coordinate system, if you remember that, where you're kind of plotting the different points. And that's actually very similar to CNC, where we have to tell the machine when we program it that, at this specific, 2, -1 point is where I want you to, cut the hole into the metal or something along those lines. So this kind of gives you an idea of sort of like the math and things that are involved. So essentially you would, read the blueprint, you would write the programming code, and then you machine the part or make the part. We also have a welding program. So this one is not going to be at Aspire, but it will be still on the west side at our Freedman Seating location. So individuals can still go through the same process to apply for either programs. This one would just be at a different location. So on average, it's about 16 weeks in length. Again, that 9th grade reading and math level is required. You would get an OSHA 10 certification, and you would also get a certification through the American Welding Society, specifically in MIG welding. So that is going to be a more common production type of weld that we place individuals in. But we also have specialized MIG practice for like vertical welding or overhead welding if maybe you're out of position or you're welding a very large piece that you can't just kind of stand over it on a table. So we want everyone to practice that. We also are starting to do a little bit more practice with TIG welding, which is it's just different type of gas, different type of metals you could use. But the TIG welding is used a lot more for kind of like finer metals. So it's definitely a more precise and more, I'd say manual type of weld. But some companies are asking for that experience more. So we're definitely kind of adjusting to the needs of the company. So that is some practice that individuals would get as well. But the certification would just be in the MIG welding program. So as of last year, individuals coming out of this program were making just over $22 an hour to start at companies. But again, that's not including, possible overtime and different factors like that. So I put this slide in here just to kind of give an idea of kind of, what can you do with these types of jobs and careers, and what does that look like? So you can kind of see here in I guess the purple boxes is the advanced manufacturing training. So that's where somebody could hypothetically come in and get the credentials from our program. And again, we kind of see individuals for the CNC possibly getting hired as a CNC operator, machine operator. The welders typically get hired as welders, or in some cases we have seen an increase in like robotic welding. And those are kind of the estimated from Department of Labor, their estimated, wage ranges for those. Again, a lot of it depends on someone's, prior experience in the company, what they're making at the company. So there's a wide range, but that's typically what could be expected. And then from there, you can kind of see like CNC, for example, you could move into CNC like setup, which is also one of the areas that we train on. You can move into potentially programmer, which is also one of the areas that we train on because we want to help set everybody up for those types of jobs. You can move into different supervisory engineering positions. And again, some of those does require, experience, but also, for engineering, hypothetically, there could be educational requirements that are required to move into those positions. But you can kind of see, you can keep moving along the career path. So these are really nice credentials to kind of get you started on that. And then additional supports that we offer at JARC, I kind of mentioned a little bit in the beginning, but we do offer financial coaching with everyone. So that's going to be in a small group setting, but it can also be one-on-one with a coach where you look at your different credit reports, you understand what's on the credit. Maybe if you do have debt, you want to make a plan to pay off that debt. Maybe there's something on a credit report you didn't do and you want to dispute that. They can help with that as well. And any kind of like financial goals. Maybe you want to save to buy a car, maybe even buy a home at some point. These can all help kind of prepare you for those long-term financial goals. We also do employment coaching. So again, making sure resumes, we practice mock interviews. We also do what we call a technical mock interview with everyone. So you actually will show us the skills that you learn. So you may actually have to go onto a machine and show us, how you start up the machine, how you turn off the machine, how you, input the different programs, things like that. Because those are things that when you do go for an interview, they very likely may ask you to demonstrate. We also do an income support screening with everyone. So anyone who comes through our program, we meet one-on-one to talk about, kind of how things are going in your personal life and sort of how you plan to support yourself while you're in the program. So if there is any gaps, we can help connect you with various resources, whether that is helping sign up for maybe like SNAP benefits, unemployment benefits, maybe referrals for housing, childcare, whatever that is that somebody needs to help them, be able to stay in the program and be successful. And then we also offer digital literacy classes with everyone. So we're really going to focus on, making sure you can use like different job search platforms. So whether that's LinkedIn, Indeed, how do you make profiles? How do you, make sure you have a digital copy of your resume? How do you upload that when you're applying for jobs? So really we want to make sure, you have the hands-on skills, but then you have all these other supports and services to actually get a job and then keep a job as well. We do have another program that is separate from our technical training that is a one-on-one tutoring program. So this one is open to anyone and everyone who has an educational goal. So we do see people come in who want to prepare for the GED exam, you can get matched up one-on-one with a tutor. And really, you can meet wherever it's convenient. You can meet at our office, you can meet at a local library, you can meet on Zoom if that's easier, and kind of work on those educational goals. We also see people who want to just work on their math, reading, writing skills. Maybe English isn't somebody's first language and they want to practice that. So this is just another resource that we offer to the community, to anyone who might be interested. So I was going to take a moment just to kind of talk a little bit about sort of our interest and our commitment to the Aspire Center, and kind of how things have progressed for us in Austin specifically. So we have had a presence on the West Side since about 2017. We started doing our CNC training program in Austin High School, and we did that for a few years. And then during that time, we also have been involved with like the Austin Quality of Life Plan, working on the Economic Development Task Force. And kind of through that process, we were able to identify a few different tasks, one of them specifically being having an advanced manufacturing training center in Austin, which this is obviously something that we're hoping to fulfill, that the community has asked about. So that's why I think we're really committed to sort of like not only bringing these technical training opportunities, but ultimately some of those, wealth building opportunities as well. And then again, in if not April, probably early May of this year, we will actually be moving our main office operations to the Aspire Center as well, because we are just very committed to doing this work on the West Side, and we see the value in having, our team located there as well. So then over the past year, I know we've been working with some of the other partners, including Austin Coming Together, Westside Health Authority, BMO Harris Bank as well, to sort of create this like holistic service model. So the hope is that someone can come into the Aspire Center and they can get any and all of the services offered in the building as sort of a one-stop shop, I guess, for anybody in the community. So we're really excited to kind of get that going as well, because I think all of our programs and services really complement each other well. So somebody can really, get their needs met, and, ultimately be able to, get other training and services to really kind of, thrive. So I kind of mentioned already a bit the programs that we are going to be having at Aspire. So our CNC, our computer numerical control program, currently is in operation at our Freedman Seating location, but our plan is going to be to move that program 100% to the Aspire Center. So right now we have two CNC machines over there that are 3-axis machines. So they're great for, training on and really understanding the basics of CNC machining. But at the Aspire Center, we're also going to have a few 5-axis machines. So there's a picture of the Hatchuan lathe that's there. And then we're also going to have I have a little more on the next slide, but we have a Doosan mill. So they're definitely more advanced equipment that we're going to have that we haven't in the past. And I think a lot of that was based on the feedback that we got from our graduates that said, hey, it's great to learn, the basics of CNC, but they said, it would be really helpful for their career opportunities to have some of these more advanced, newer technologies to train on as well. So that's something that we were very committed to, and that's why we kind of have these newer machines as well. You can also see kind of in the bottom right corner, that's a picture of the FANUC Cobot. So I kind of mentioned in that slide with the career map, how we are seeing some people from our welding program being hired as robotic welders, because that is a little bit more of like a precise type of welding that we're seeing that's becoming more popular with a lot of companies. So we do have our own robotic welder that's also going to be at Aspire. So some of our welding trainees will most likely, they'll periodically be at Aspire doing some training on this machine. Again, just to have kind of more skills to put on resumes and things like that. And then we also are going to have, I believe, if at least one, if not two, manual machines. Because again, a lot of it depends on the company. It depends on what they're making. They might have a whole variety of machines. So the more we can get people trained on those different technologies, the more, marketable they'll be when applying for jobs. And then this is a picture of that Doosan mill that I mentioned on the last slide. So again, our graduates really kind of came to us and said, hey, we want to see newer technologies that can help us move forward in our careers. So we do have a couple, those two 5-axis machines that we're going to have. So I guess the benefits are really that because there's more axes on the machines, you can make a lot more complex parts and even more precise parts because it can allow for more movement and more variation. These come into play really in the aerospace, the medical, and even more like high-end manufacturing, again, because they are very precise. If you're making aerospace or medical parts, you need those to be extremely precise because of the nature of what they're being used for. So that's definitely also an area where there's increased earning potential. Those are industries that tend to pay a little bit higher. And you now have a very specialized skill because you are able to use those 5-axis machines. So there's always going to be an increase for earning potential there as well. And then I also mentioned too, the manufacturing bridge program will also be relocating to the Aspire Center. And again, that's going to be the very contextualized reading and math skills. So blueprint reading, precision metrology, shop math, and those reading topics related to manufacturing. So it could be reading like safety data sheets from OSHA or safety manuals, things like that, that you're really going to need to know when you're working in the industry. I kind of just threw in this slide here just to sort of give an idea of the layout of our space. So if anybody at this point is familiar with the Aspire Center, we are going to be located on the first floor inside of the old auditorium gymnasium area. So it's actually quite a lot of square footage, which is great for us. So you can kind of see up at the top, that's actually going to be a large classroom for our CNC and bridge classes. And there's also going to be some offices within that and right adjacent to it. You can kind of see in the middle, we are planning to have all of our CNC machines. And then actually towards the bottom, there isn't really anything slated to go there right now, but that's because we are going to have a forklift in that space. And our plan is going to be in the near future to be able to offer like forklift classes as well. So we're going to be using that space for forklift training. So we kind of need to leave it, a little bit open to allow for that. So this is sort of a very tentative timeline. There's still a bit of construction happening. So as you can imagine, things may change slightly. But as of now, as of kind of late last year, we started securing our permits. We obviously have been purchasing new equipment, and exciting. We completed the build out in late March. I believe this week are expecting to get some final inspections done on the space. And then we're thinking somewhere in maybe middle to late April, we'll actually be moving staff and our equipment and everything else that's needed over to the Aspire. And then I would say late April, if not maybe early March, or I'm sorry, early May, we're actually going to then be fully operational out of that space for our CNC and our bridge programming. And then there is a grand opening scheduled in June, but I won't steal anybody's thunder on announcing that, but there will be a large grand opening coming shortly after that. So basically that's kind of all of our program services. So if somebody is interested and they want to potentially sign up for the program, there is some pretty basic eligibility criteria that we look at. Somebody has to be at least 18 years or older to do our program, eligible to work in the US. We usually don't have any kind of issues with prior records of arrests, convictions, anything like that. The only thing we really can't work with is like sexual related offenses. And then somebody who's maybe unemployed or low income, or maybe, you know, they're doing like gig work and it's not enough to pay the bills, or you are working a full-time job and, you know, you just want to continue advancing in a career, this could be a really good fit. We also kind of assess different aspects of like suitability. So we look at, obviously, attitude is important. So being able to take feedback, you know, being able to work with your peers, work with the staff. Attendance is going to be very important, not just for us, but also, you know, once you get out working in the industry. So being on time, you know, making sure if somebody is running late, they're communicating that. And then also ability. So it's more so the physical ability, because it can be somewhat of a physically demanding job. So making sure, you know, you're able to stand for longer periods of time, you're okay working in very hot conditions, things like that. So these are some of the common, you know, questions or barriers that, you know, people have asked us in the past. So for our program, we do not require a high school diploma or GED. It's helpful to have, of course, but it's not required for our programs or for placement. Again, the records of arrest and conviction are not an issue for us other than the sexual offenses. And if someone does have a prior record, we do have different partners that we work with that can help with either sealing or expungement services. And I know in the building, Westside Health Authority is going to have some partner resources as well. We can have different referrals for childcare or housing. In some cases, we do have emergency funds that we can actually help cover some of those costs. But again, it kind of depends on the situation. We also don't have any issue if somebody has like limited work experience or maybe even no work experience. We still are able to place and train individuals, even if they're transitioning career. And then the other really nice thing is there is a lot of great benefits that the manufacturing companies do offer, in addition to, you know, healthcare, retirement. A lot of times, you know, they have like wellness incentives or, you know, various tuition reimbursements, things like that. So if someone was interested in applying for the program, I think the last slide I have the website listed. So somebody would go to our website and sign up for one of our application sessions. It varies. Some are in person, some are on Zoom. You can pick what works best for you. But you would come to one of those sessions, then you would complete an application. We'd set up a one-on-one interview, just to kind of learn more about why you're interested in the program. What are your career goals, just to make sure that that's a good fit. And then there is that reading and math assessment, like I mentioned at the beginning. So if we do decide to accept someone in the program, again, we have that open enrollment. So usually people can start pretty quickly. We have some paperwork and then we'd have you start right away. If for some reason we didn't accept someone into the program, we'd still let them know and, you know, provide some other like resources and referrals to look into. So this is sort of just a breakdown of our locations and the programs at each of the locations. So again, I'll start with Aspire Center. So we're not at this exact moment, we're not running programs there just yet, but I'd say probably within a month or so we will be. And that's going to be an evening program. So from 3 to 8 p.m., we're going to be offering our CNC program. And then from 3 to 6, we're going to be offering our bridge program at that location. The current West Side facility we have inside of Friedman Seating Company, again, we do have classes there from 3 to 8. And that includes, as of now, it includes the CNC, but that will be moving soon. But we also have a welding program there as well, and same as the bridge. The bridge is currently there, but it will be moving. And then we do also have a North Side location that does have daytime classes from 9 to 2:30, and they have a CNC and a welding program up there as well. So if that does work better for someone's schedule and they can make that commute, you know, it's the same process to apply for those programs. So there is the link at the bottom to our website. So obviously there's more information there, but also that would be where you would go to potentially sign up for one of those application sessions as well. Great. So I didn't know if there was any questions.
Thank you, Emily. There was a lot of great information. We'll just jumping right into the Q&A now. Let's see. So the first question is, can I do multiple programs?
Yeah, so we do get asked that a lot. So what I say instead is that I would really encourage people to kind of do some research, figure out which of the programs you're probably most interested in, or you see yourself, you know, doing as a career, and then really kind of go dive into that and try to get as many like certifications and as much experience as you can. Because really, if somebody has multiple, you know, CNC and welding certifications, it doesn't usually make you more job marketable, because the company's probably just going to hire you for one or the other. So that's why I think it's more important just to kind of pick which one you're more interested in and then just go as far as you can, getting as much, you know, experience and certifications in those. But yeah, it's a good question.
The next question is there any pay for the training?
Yeah, that's a good question. So right now, we do have a specialized grant that is allowing us to offer stipends. So we are doing, and this is in addition to, you know, like the transportation and those like emergency other resources. But we are doing a $200 monthly stipend for up to 5 months that someone is in the program. So that's just a check that gets cut to each person every month, and you know, you can use it for whatever you need. But like I said, again, it is like a specialized grant. So we're hoping to be able to, you know, continue offering that, but you know, it could be limited, but there is that opportunity now. Mhm.
Great. Next question is, do you have any classes in other languages?
Yeah, so the programs that I specifically talked about, so the CNC, the bridge, the welding program, those are all in English, and like the assessments and the testing is all in English. We did just wrap up a class that was all in Spanish actually for a little bit different program for mechanical assembly. So right now we're not actually enrolling for that program just yet because we need to make some adjustments to the training and the curriculum. But I would encourage, if that is something somebody's interested in, to again go to the website and keep your eyes on the website for updates for when we are enrolling for that program. But hopefully, yeah, in the near future we will have that available.
That sounds great. Can someone sign up if they already have a manufacturing certification, such as welding?
Yeah, so I would encourage people to still go through the process and apply. There are a number of different types of certifications. So the one that we are offering might be slightly different than one that somebody had previously got. But either way, though, I will say, because people do ask sometimes if they can just come to us and just like get the job placement assistance. We do only offer that for people who have like gone through our program. And that's again because we want to make sure like if we're sending them to a company that we can, attest to the skills and the certifications that they have. And obviously we kind of practice those interviewing skills and things along the way as well. So you would have to go through the program to get the job placement services, but even if you had a different certification, I would still say to go through the process and apply, and we can kind of assess, what prior credentials somebody has, and if that's, a good fit to also do our program.
Sounds great. Next question is, do you have any program fees? So if I was to sign up, would I have to pay?
Yeah, so all of our programs and services that I spoke about, they are free to anyone. So that includes, the hands-on training, the tutoring, any of those programs. I did mention briefly that in the Aspire space, we are going to be doing a forklift training. That would be the only program that would incur a fee. But again, we've been pretty busy with that program, so we don't have a set date yet for the next class that's going to be available. So again, I would definitely encourage you like keep an eye on the website, on our social medias for when that will be coming. But other than that, all the other programs are free to everybody.
Great. And you said that forklift program will be available at the Aspire Center?
Yes. Yeah,
Great, great.
that's what we're planning to do. Mhm.
And while we're talking about it, can you kind of explain the difference between the programs that will be housed at the Aspire Center versus the ones that will be at your other location?
Yeah, so the CNC, so computer numerical control, that one will be at the Aspire Center. So we will have multiple machines there. So like I mentioned, there's like the 3-axis machines, but then there's also 5-axis machines. And I believe there will be a manual machine there as well. But all of those people in the CNC program are going to get to practice on all of those machines. And then we are going to also have that robotic welder in the space as well. So the welding program is going to be staying at our Friedman Seating location. But when trainees get to a certain point in the program, they probably will visit once or twice over to the Aspire Center to practice on that machine. Um, but for the most part, that program is just going to stay at the other location. And then that manufacturing bridge program is also going to be moving to the Aspire Center. So that one is a bit more classroom based. Like there's not as much hands-on components as the other programs because again, you're kind of working on those reading and math skills. But that class will also be meeting at the Aspire Center.
Cool, cool. And just a random question. If I just so happen to walk into the Aspire Center and it's actually the welding that I'm interested in, would it be just like a referral process to the other location, or how would that work?
I mean, the intake process is gonna essentially be the same,
Mhm.
regardless of which program. Even if someone wants to go to our North Side location, they could still walk into Aspire and realize that's maybe better for their schedule or something. That's totally fine. It would be the same process. We would still have them do one of those application sessions. They'd still do an interview and a reading and math assessment. Um, in some cases, though, if it's easier for the person, like let's say they know they want to do the welding at the Friedman Seating location, but then they come in to do the reading and math assessment, they could hypothetically do that assessment at the Aspire Center. It doesn't have to be at that location if that's more convenient. So yeah, we're all the same, programs, just different hours and locations. So it would be all the same process. So yeah, even if you were interested in one of the other programs, you can still come to Aspire and get the same, information and process. Yeah.
Great, great. And I have one last question. I noticed on the slides for the required hours and weeks that each program lasts, and then it has self-paced. So am I able, say I'm a person that wants to go in and just get it done, am I able to complete those number of hours inside before the 20 weeks in, or does it have to be, I think you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, you're right. All of our curriculum is pretty project based. So, I mean, a lot of it just depends on the person. So we do have people that, they can get through the 20-week program in 16 weeks. Or we have some people, maybe they need 30 weeks because, they just need some extra help or whatever. So, it's self-paced in that it's very like project based. So somebody could knock out multiple projects in one day if they were really ambitious, and that's totally fine. It's not like if someone like goes through all the projects and they take their test and they pass and they still have, 4 more weeks to hit the 20 weeks. We're not going to say, okay, you have to stay in the program. We're going to say, okay, great, let's move you on and help you start looking for jobs. So it really varies like on the person, but it is possible to do that. Yeah.
No, great. Thank you for that. Unfortunately, I think that's all the time we have for questions. But if you do have more questions or think of more questions after we get off this call, feel free to reach out to us. We'll do our best to connect you to JARC and Emily. And yeah, thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Like we mentioned earlier, the hub is here to connect you to resources. So even if JARC isn't the right fit for you, as the community resource coordinator, I work directly with the participants of the hub. So I'll be following up with you if you requested additional hub services in your registration form.
Thank you. And you could go ahead and register for our next Hub 101. It will be about the Community Land Trust, the Austin Community Land Trust. And I'll share that out in 1 second. So yes, you can go ahead and register for that now. Again, it will be April 15th on Tuesday at 12:30. Please tune in and hear about ACT's AFT team and about the plans for the Community Land Trust. Thank you. And once again, thank you, Emily. We appreciate you coming on today. Great presentation. Hopefully we can get some more folks signed up, and looking forward to being neighbors with you all at the Aspire Center soon. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, everyone.